To fully understand how a modern infantry unit could simply vanish, you have to look at where they were patrolling. Afghanistan's vast mountain ranges stretch out in massive, arid valleys that feel entirely disconnected from the rest of the planet. The mountains are porous, riddled with deep, ancient cave systems that have sat untouched for centuries. During the war, NATO forces relied heavily on local Afghan interpreters. These were young, battle-hardened men who had survived years of intense combat operations alongside foreign troops. Yet, despite their deep familiarity with modern warfare, many of these interpreters held a very genuine belief in local legends. They warned incoming soldiers about entities living high up in the mountains of Kandahar, describing massive, supernatural giants that dwelled in the dark. Out there, completely isolated from civilization, the line separating ancient folklore from the hard realities of a combat zone is incredibly thin. Back in 2002, a standard U.S. Army infantry unit was out on a routine patrol through the desolate Kandahar Mountains when they completely disappeared off the radio. In a combat zone, the absolute first thing a unit does when engaged by an enemy is call in a TIC, or troops in contact. That single radio transmission instantly alerts higher command to route air support, reinforcements, and medical evacuations to their exact coordinates. But that call never happened. The unit went completely silent without a single distress signal, meaning whatever severed their communications struck with immediate, overwhelming speed. When the communications blackout dragged on, the military mobilized a quick reaction force. They dispatched an elite detachment of Green Berets to track down the missing patrol. This was a fact-finding mission. These specialized operators were sent to figure out what kind of force could wipe out a heavily armed infantry unit without giving them time to make a single radio call. The Green Berets deployed to the unit's last known location. For several days, they hiked through the grueling terrain, actively scanning for enemy fighters, but the mountains were entirely empty. Eventually, they spotted a narrow goat trail winding up one of steep rock faces. As they climbed it, they began to find pieces of modern military hardware scattered across the path. What started as small fragments of shattered radios soon turned into heavy canvas backpacks and torn uniforms. The name tapes stitched onto the fabric confirmed these belonged to the missing infantrymen. Intermixed with the shredded Kevlar and broken electronics, the team found scattered, broken human bones. The state of the remains made no sense. An enemy ambush might leave behind casualties and stolen gear, but it wouldn't leave a trail of stripped bones mixed with destroyed communication equipment. The operators followed the debris to the top of the mountain. The trail emptied out onto a flat plateau, serving as a front porch to 3 massive, pitch-black cave entrances. Securing the perimeter, 2 Green Berets, an operator who goes by the alias Mr. K, and his squad mate, Dan, moved forward to visually clear the closest cave. As they peered into the dark, an enormous spear shot out from the void inside the cave, striking Dan directly and killing him on impact. Seconds later, the attacker charged out onto the plateau. It was a 12 to 15-foot tall hominid wearing animal skins, covered in coarse red hair, with 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot. The remaining operators instantly reacted. Falling back entirely on their muscle memory and tactical training, they focused a barrage of concentrated automatic weapons fire onto the target, dropping the massive entity to the ground. With 1 operator down and the threat neutralized, they radioed for immediate extraction. A heavy-lift helicopter soon arrived, dropping a massive cargo net to secure the creature's body before airlifting it out of the valley. In the span of a few violent minutes, a team equipped with some of the most advanced tactical training and weaponry on Earth had engaged and killed a creature pulled directly from local myth. Following a lethal engagement, special operations teams are required to file a highly detailed after-action report. This document puts the exact sequence of events, mistakes, and casualties onto the official record. But when Mr. K and his team submitted their account of the cave, higher command intervened. The operators were explicitly ordered to rewrite the document. They were instructed to state that their squad mate was killed by standard enemy small arms fire. Any mention of the giant, the spear, or the caves was struck entirely from the record. Immediately after filing the false report, the surviving members of the unit were required to sign strict non-disclosure agreements, legally binding them to silence. The military chain of command did not launch a formal inquiry into the anomaly on the mountain. Their immediate, coordinated response was total administrative erasure. For 14 years, the events of that patrol remained buried. Then, in 2016, Mr. K broke his non-disclosure agreement and shared his team's story with the public. His testimony forces a difficult analysis. We have to weigh whether his account is literal fact or the result of something psychological. Combat exerts extreme pressure on the human mind. It is entirely possible that navigating a harsh alien environment under the threat of ambush caused a collective psychological break, leading the operators to map the local folklore they had heard onto a chaotic, traumatic firefight. The alternative is that a highly trained Special Forces detachment genuinely engaged an undocumented hominid, and the government immediately moved to classify the corpse and suppress the evidence. Whether the creature was flesh and blood or a projection of battlefield trauma, the recorded outcome is exactly the same.